This is truly an achievement in automotive engineering. Applause Roger, applause Joachim, applause Polestar. Today, we are finally testing the Polestar 3 on my normal testing route here in Norway. This has been long awaited and I can't wait to find out how far it can go on a full charge of battery. We're starting at the Ragde Chargers at Innlandsporten, which is one of 30 charging locations Ragde have in Norway. Their goal is good energy all the way, and they plan on achieving this by powering all of their charging stations with solar power. That is an insane and cool goal. You can also easily charge at all of their chargers with either payment card, RFID chip, or one of the many charging or parking apps like Easy Park. And if you have a company, Ragde will hook you up with even better prices. Follow the link down below to get a good deal on charging today. Now, on with the test. It's been almost 6 months since I drove the Polestar 3 the last time at the world premiere launch in Madrid in Spain. That is insane. I thought it was just a couple of months ago, but it's almost 6 months. And at that launch, we spent 2 days in Madrid and in the area around Madrid. Beautiful, beautiful scenery, beautiful landscape. And we drove the Polestar 3 and the 4 on similar roads, but not on the exact same route. And I remember thinking to myself, like looking at the consumption, and again, I did different testing with the different type of cars, me thinking that, I think once I get these cars back for testing here in Norway on my normal route, my range test and long trip test, I think the Polestar 3 may actually be as efficient, having the same consumption, or even lower than the Polestar 4. So that is my big prediction today, is that this Polestar 3 is going to have lower consumption than the Polestar 4 I tested last week. There are a few things that are going to help me maybe be correct about that prediction, and that is this car is on 20-inch wheels, winter tires, and the car I drove last week was on 22-inch winter wheels. That was a performance, this is a non-performance, but they're both on Michelin X-Ice Snow SUV studless winter tires. So it may be closer than you think. And after about half an hour on the road, our average consumption is at 27.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which doesn't sound great, but we are on a different version of this loop. We're still doing the same loop, but because we have a new sponsor, Ragde Charger, we're starting in the middle, and then we're going south, and then we're going north, and then we're going south and back again to where we started. And on our way south, the first half hour, we had a headwind of about 3 to 4 meters per second. So now that we've turned and we're headed northward, I think that consumption may drop. So I'm going to update you guys in about 40 minutes about the consumption, and then I'm going to talk about the ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, in this car versus the Polestar 4. The Bowers Wilkins sound system in this car is mandatory because it's going to give you a sound experience like nothing else. It is such an awesome sound system. And then we have the rest of this car. I mean, the Polestar 4 I drove last week, despite all of its flaws, all of the software issues, it's a great car, especially at the price point, the packaging, the way it drives, the interior, the exterior. But this is just in a completely different league. The first time I drove my Porsche Taycan, or the Porsche Taycan like 3 years ago, like within the first 100 meters or so, sitting in the wheel, feeling the controls, feeling the weight of the steering, and just how everything was tuned and everything felt purposeful, was apparent like within a few minutes. The same feeling is what I had with this car this morning when I sat into this car. It is so good, this car. It is so good. It's a different platform to the Polestar 4, apparently. And it may be this platform just being superior to that other platform, this being the SPA2 platform, that other car being built on the SEA platform. I don't know what it is, but this car, the way it feels, the way it drives, this is a true Porsche competitor. I mean, in the most sense of that word. This is such a great car. And I would know, I've dailied a Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo for almost 3 years. This, the way it steers, the way it feels, the padding on the steering wheel, the padding on the seats, the tuning of the suspension, the way it goes down a stretcher road, it is closer to a Porsche than any other brand, any other car I've driven in the past few years. This is truly an achievement in automotive engineering. Applause Roger, applause Joachim, applause Polestar. I'm going to talk more about the driving dynamics and this car as a whole in future videos, but I just want to get that out of the way because this is truly a great car. So, ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. So this car, like the Polestar 4 I had last week, has adaptive cruise control, it has pilot assist, it has basically all the same systems. And again, maybe it is because this is on a completely different platform, meaning different hardware components, then meaning different software, different tuning, different people, different development time, and different progression within that development time. I don't know what it is, because this car is far from being perfect. It has software issues and glitches here and there. Like, for example, when I get into the car, even though the head-up display is turned off in the infotainment system, it's on. I have to go turn it on and off. This morning when I picked up this car, I couldn't adjust the mirrors or the steering wheel. Polestar had to bring out a technician to reset the ECU. So by no means is this car perfect, but it is fully functionable. The ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, in this car works as good as it has in any of the German cars I've driven lately. The Macan, the Q6 e-tron, the ID.7. In those cars, it just works. And in this car, it just works. There's no bouncing in the lane, no ping-ponging. And when you want to try to guide the car because the weather is bad and sometimes maybe the car wants to ride the center lane or the outer line, you can gently just steer the car. With the Polestar 4, it would cancel pilot assist or even the assistant driving systems altogether. And because you were in one pedal drive, you would lurch forward. It was just a very unrefined experience. Engaging it, there was a delay. And again, if you were too quick to engage it, go off the throttle, in one pedal drive, you would lurch forward. I'm going to show you. We're going to disengage it. Wow, isn't that smooth? No immediate lurching forward. It just, such a smooth transition. And then when we engage it, off the throttle, look at that, guys. It's not lurching forward. And there's no delay. Yes, this has hard buttons instead of touch capacitive buttons, but I don't think that explains why there's no delay while engaging. This is just a better car. It just works better. The software is further down the development line, or there are just fundamental differences between that platform, the Polestar 4, and this, where you don't have the same issues there. But here you can steer within the auto steer. Look at that, guys. It lets me steer like it does in my Porsche, like it does in an Audi Q6 e-tron. Yeah, this is a far different and superior experience, even with the issues and the flaws, to that Polestar 4. The way ADAS works here is how ADAS should have worked in the Polestar 4 from the beginning. Oh, and also average consumption has dropped to just below 26 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So it is promising, but we're now headed southward, and we're going to have a headwind again. So let's see. We'll find out if this car is more efficient than the Polestar 4. on the motorway going 120 kilometers an hour. It is very silent and quiet, this car. Yes, granted, we are on winter tires and winter wheels. Usually usually less road noise than with summer tires, but this, compared to the Polestar 4 last week, is just a class more quiet. So this is our exit. We're gonna exit here now. We're gonna stop the timer once we hit the top of the roundabout. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about the results, guys. Is this gonna be more efficient? There we go. Then the Polestar 4. Interesting. Okay, guys, let's connect to the same charger we did before we started this test. This one called Björk. But okay, guys, let's take a look at the average consumption. I actually don't know. So we're back here and let's see. Average consumption, 26.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Yeah, that is lower than the Polestar 4 at 26.4. Like with the Polestar 2 and the Polestar 4, the charge port is here on the driver's side. But unlike the Polestar 4, this is manually operated, which is kind of a downgrade, but I like it. And unlike the Polestar 4, you can actually stop the charging with a button here. So, for example, at my home charger, I have to go, with the Polestar 4, I had to go in and stop the charging in the infotainment system, and then I could disconnect. But here with this car, I can just push the button there, which is much more convenient. So, according to the car, we're here with 38% stated charge, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna charge and we're gonna see what charging speed we get after a few hours on the road with passive heating of the battery. So just driving the car and letting the car heat the battery passively. We do active preconditioning, via the navigation system, which this car does have in a different test called the long trip test here on the channel, which is the next video. Then we use the navigation system and then we plot in the charger or let the car do that, and then the car will precondition automatically. And this test is all about getting that maximum efficiency, and that means not preconditioning because that will use energy. So let's see. I'm not expecting us to get, the highest charging speed because, yeah, we haven't been preconditioning, and at 38%, we're getting only 84 kilowatts. 86 kilowatts, 87. Okay. I mean, it is to be expected. You saw a peak at 130, 140 first, and then it throttled right away. 90. Will it climb? No. Maybe a little. But this is the importance of preconditioning the battery en route if you want to charge. But not everybody is aware of a function like this, and not everybody knows that it is even possible. But this car has it, and only getting like 93 kilowatts at 38% stated charge has to do with the ambient temperature outside between, what was it, like 3 and 7 degrees Celsius. That means the battery pack is gonna be cold. Now let's take a look at the results. So if we take the usable battery capacity of this car, which is 107 kilowatt hours, we divide it by the consumption, 26.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and then we subtract 3% for heat and discharging losses. That gives us a theoretical range under today's conditions of 399 kilometers, which, to be honest, guys, is a great result. And if you look at the 5 cars that are above this in the list, number 1 is the Polestar 3 long-range dual motor on 22-inch summer wheels, done in Spain at the launch this summer. But that test is with a lot of caveats. First off, we started at around 1,200 meters and dropped to around 650, 700 meters. So right away, that test cannot be compared to this directly. And also, we didn't do proper ABA testing, so we may have had more of a headwind or more of a tailwind, giving us the results we got. So I think we're just going to delete that, disregard it completely, because we've now finally tested this car on my normal route. And considering that it is getting colder outside, it's going to get colder here in Norway. This is not proper winter conditions. I know what you guys want to say in the comment section, but for a lot of people around the world, this is as cold as it's going to get, between 3 and 7 degrees Celsius. And also the conditions. It was Mostly damp, but we also had a lot of wet roads, and we also even had rain. And if we compare that to the test we did with the Polestar 3 last week, today, though the temperatures were a little bit higher, a few degrees, the conditions were a lot worse. And yes, this car is on 20-inch wheels, that was on 22, and that is a performance, so it's not a one-to-one comparison. But still, my prediction was correct. The Polestar 3, at least in this configuration compared to that configuration of the Polestar 4, this is more efficient, which is insane. But that was my initial impression when I first tested this car earlier this year. So either way, guys, either way, great range, even when it's cold, and one of the best results we've ever gotten. 400 kilometers, real world range, going 120 kilometers an hour or 75 miles an hour. That is great. And in comfort and in style, and at this price point, yeah, this may be the best deal at the moment when it comes to an electric car. I don't know. We're going to explore that question more in the week to come through more tests. So guys, let me know what you think down below. I'm impressed at least. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.